So I'm going to begin by asking, what can fans expect of the forthcoming season?
And I'm going to begin, Stefan, by answering, I have no idea. And also, and even if I did, I couldn't tell you. They're writing it right now. We just finished shooting the other one 4 or 5 weeks ago. I guess what I can say, so I'm not being an obstreperous person, is what I know from the end of season 2 or series 2. And that is the rogue element of the Inhumans has been more or less defeated, and it seems like Coulson's trying to bring, his beloved Skye, who is more or less fully realized as Quake, into a new super secret team of powered agents, which very much sounds like something that I know from the comics as Secret Warriors, which is very exciting because it's a really cool kind of rogue, not in the bad way, but quiet part of S.H.I.E.L.D. that gets very involved in some of the goings-on that happen around Civil War, which is the Captain America 3 film that's shooting right now, which is a truly great chapter in Marvel Comics.
With the Avengers sort of setting up a new base with Nick Fury at the end of Age of Ultron, where do you see S.H.I.E.L.D. sort of fitting into that in season 3?
It's very interesting. Like I said, it's part of the way I do the job is that I don't know that much because Coulson doesn't. And if I know too much, it's hard to act in a way that I get the big stuff, I get pulled aside. But it's also, it works well because even if I wanted to know more, they wouldn't tell me. And I think you've reached an interesting question because Nick Fury has been out there underground doing a lot of work that puts together what looks like a fairly new version of the Avengers at the end of Age of Ultron. And he's made Coulson the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. so that's been Coulson's task, is putting together a version of that can protect the world now, which is exciting because it's meant that our show got reinvented to a certain extent after S.H.I.E.L.D. was destroyed, then to a certain extent reinvented again when the Inhumans showed up. And it suggests that may be something that's happening again. And the question is, will Nick Fury reassume the directorship of S.H.I.E.L.D.? If not, will somebody else? It could be, Agent Hill. I don't know. It's really interesting what S.H.I.E.L.D. will become now and if it ever will become this giant organization under the World Council or if it'll be a bunch of different splinter groups. I don't know.
Because, there has been tension between the team and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. can you see them potentially coming down on, or has there been a hint of the fact that they could come down on different sides in Civil War?
Yes, I believe so. Certainly you see different points of view starting to happen. And, it's one of the things I found most exciting about the second season was people show up who have different evolutionary makeup and start to become a different form of humanity. And some people feel like that's a threat and they should be executed. And other people feel like that's a compelling new part of who we are as a species. And that feels like the world right now. And it certainly seems to be dividing Coulson's team. Certainly some of the factions that were splitting apart during the season seem to have made some kind of peace in that I don't think there's two S.H.I.E.L.D.s anymore. But that said, I don't think everyone's on the same page, as you said.
Ward reforms Hydra to take on S.H.I.E.L.D. in the finale. I was wondering, do you believe there's any chance of redemption for that character?
It's getting tougher and tougher. I know there are certain people, fans who are friends of mine, who really, no matter what he does, they really still are holding out hope for a kind of dream honeymoon for he and Skye. I don't know. Brett Dalton plays that guy with this kind of broken-hearted menace where you kind of just keep rooting for him to find a way, but it's hard to say. He really seems to be a little more psychotic than he realizes.
Marvel are generally sort of bossing cinema and doing quite a good job of it on the smaller screen as well at the moment. It must be so thrilling and rewarding to be a part of this whole universe at the moment. Do you feel like you really are part of something quite special?
I do. I have since day one, as someone who read these comics and liked them as a kid. To see the way Iron Man was being brought to life was thrilling. To see Robert, from the first day I showed up on the set, Robert Downey playing Tony Stark, you just saw immediately how special this was. And, there's a reason that it keeps going, is that it's not just some kind of corny fantasy. They've managed to make it feel like it connects to the world we're living in enough that it's exciting.
And do you ever feel sort of overawed by it at all? I mean, there's even action figures of you. And also, do you own one?
I own several, yes. But I was very awed when I bought them. And there's a bobblehead. Yeah, it's. If I think about this for 1 second, it's something we moved around a lot, and I had these comics and these science fiction books I would take with me wherever I went, and it was definitely a chapter in my life. And then when I grew up, it was less of a chapter. I just kind of always watched carefully when they were putting one of those movies together. So when I suddenly became part of this world and this character, beyond anybody's expectation, became a bigger and bigger part of it, I kind of got to permanently bring this 12-year-old nerdy self of mine back to life and to work with me every day. And there's been a number of days, the action figures being really very high on that list, of days where the two of us got to sit there and just kind of, oh my God. And that's been a really fun part of it, I'm not going to lie.
And just funny, very quickly, I just wonder, I mean, Coulson has a very sort of close relationship with Spider-Man and the Ultimate Spider-Man animated series, which
you went on a date with Aunt May.
Right.
A hotter version of Aunt May, I will say.
You, of course, voiced that. I was wondering if that's something you'd like to continue to do in the upcoming movie.
I was thrilled to hear that Spider-Man's coming back to visit Marvel, his home. And, I have a lot of fantasies. When I heard that Iron Fist was coming out on Netflix, I thought, oh, that was one of my big favorites as a kid. I really hope I get to meet Iron Fist someday. I mean, Coulson does.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Much appreciated.
Stefan.
Thank you. Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey, you